What's going on, you guys? The Keith Carnes here, and wrestling last night on Monday Night Raw, as of this recording, of course, was very emotional. It sucks to be a wrestling fan right now in a selfish kind of way because Daniel Bryan has retired. Legitimately, no bullshit. This is not a work. This is not storylines. This is not his way of leaving the company to go wrestle somewhere else. He is legitimately done. And it sucks to be a wrestling fan because we don't get to see Daniel Bryan wrestle again. And that is so fucking hard to say. And it just really sucks. I mean, it's like really hard for me to sit there and say it out loud. It's like having to admit that it's over. Because Daniel Bryan was such an amazing athlete. I mean, he was... And, you know, I don't want to bring him up in every wrestling video I make because I don't want people to think I'm obsessed, but I have to compare him to him. He was as close to a new modern day Chris Benoit that we could have. And Chris Benoit was an insane talent. And Daniel Bryan had a lot of that same ability. But unfortunately for Daniel, or Bryan Danielson, whatever you want to call him, his career is over. And it was quite interesting and surprising because I had always been under the impression, I think most people had always been under the impression that Daniel had suffered a neck injury for a second time and that WWE didn't want to risk him becoming paralyzed. But now we're getting word that it sounds like, well, from what Daniel said on Raw last night, that he actually has to retire because he's had too many concussions. And we know what that can lead to. Once again, Chris Benoit and CTE, which we know Mick Foley has it. We know that Test had it, you know, when he died. And other, especially football players, it's big in the NFL and stuff like that. So it's just really, really sad that it wasn't necessarily an injury that put Daniel down. It was his brain. And that's gotta really be hard for somebody to accept, to know that their brain is so damaged that if they wrestle anymore, they're going to basically destroy themselves. I mean, think about that. I mean, think if you did something you loved, not necessarily wrestling, but you just did something you loved, but it was maybe physical, and you had suffered so many concussions over your 16-year career of doing what you loved, and you were told, hey, can't do it anymore. Or you're going to damage yourself so bad that you may not be yourself anymore. And that's pretty much what I got from his reasoning for his retirement, and of course he should. I mean, this is such a heartbreaking thing. This is probably one of the saddest things to happen probably since Edge's retirement. When Edge retired, God, it sucked. It's just like, man, really, you know? You know, we had Ric Flair retire, but Ric Flair's was a lot more... I could accept Ric Flair's a lot more. I mean, the guy was up there in age then. You know, he didn't need to be wrestling anymore. His days had come and gone. He stayed way past his welcome. And that's not in a bad way. I'm just saying, you know, I loved Ric Flair. I loved him up until he retired. His match against Shawn Michaels at WrestleMania 24 is one of my favorite matches. Ric Flair is one of the greatest of all time, if not the greatest of all time. But there comes a time when you have to hang it up. You know, then we had Shawn Michaels in 2010. That one sucked too, because I love Shawn Michaels. His in-ring work, his mic skills. I mean, Shawn is just one of those guys that's so talented in every single way possible that when he finally was like, I'm done, I'm hanging my boots up for real, I'm done, I'm retiring, you're just like, no, but at the same time you're like, good for you. But Edge, and this brings me to Edge and Daniel Bryan, so similar because both had to retire due to injury. Both had to retire to prevent from being seriously handicapped in the future if they kept wrestling. Edge would have wound up in a wheelchair. Daniel Bryan, his brain would have continued to get damaged, and like I said, we've seen what happens when you just continue to destroy your brain. So it's great that they found this and they were able to tell Daniel, look, this is a reality. Your brain has had too much damage. You have to be done. And, you know, he had an amazing show last night. It was so sad, but it was just so good, you know, and you just feel that Daniel's going to be a part of this business for many years to come. He's going to probably be a trainer backstage or something. I hope that they have him on an on-screen role, maybe make him general manager of Raw. That'd be kind of cool. maybe something like that to keep him in the limelight, to where, yeah, he's not a wrestler anymore, but he's still a part of the business, because Daniel deserves to be a part of that business. And I definitely want to see him in the Hall of Fame in 2017. That'd be great. So that's really it. I just want to get my opinion out there. It's a big thing. I felt I had to cover it, and I wanted to cover it because Daniel is, well, I should say was, one of my favorite modern day wrestlers. His segments with Kane, with Team Hell No, were definitely some of my favorites. That shit was hilarious. Wrestling, you know, a lot of the times they try to be funny and it just falls flat. They're just really not that funny. It's just kind of too juvenile, and I get it, they're doing it for the kids, but the Team Hell No stuff was genuinely hilarious. And Daniel has nothing to be ashamed of. He should be very proud of himself. I'm very proud of him as a fan, and we're going to miss the hell out of Daniel Bryan. This is Keith Carnes. Hope you guys enjoyed this. You guys take it easy. See you in the next.